So I have been thinking about the Leatherman ARC, and I want to talk a little bit later about Leatherman's pricing and why price increase may actually be a good thing. But let's go ahead and I want to talk first about where Leatherman ARC may be leading us and perhaps what I would like to see from this series. Now, this is sort of some of my drawings, some of my thinkings. I've talked about this in the past about a Leatherman amp version. That's just what I came up with. You've got the ARC in a larger version, might be called the amp, who knows? But I was trying to draw this sort of true to scale, and I would love to see a Leatherman Surge version where you would see a little bit wider plier handles, a little bit taller tool as well, and it would be in the 4.5 to maybe 5-inch frame. I think that would be really cool. And I think a lot of people would still like to have the Magna Cut on a Surge size frame. People would like to have definitely a blade exchanger. I think that would be really cool as well. And then I think it'd be really neat if Leatherman would throw in some game changers. So some of those might be something like this. Now, we have seen some really unique things from the Leatherman garage, and I've envisioned some way that Leatherman could add some different plier types without changing the entire tool. Now, I don't know if they could actually do this, but I think it'd be neat if they could add so almost like some dikes, some cutters right here, or a blunt nose, or even some wire strippers, and almost have a head where you could screw in, instead of your wire cutters, whatever plier type you wanted. And I don't think that will ever happen, but I think that would be cool. Some surprise thing that we have never seen from Leatherman before. So I really liked their take apart tool, where you could take apart the tool with the pliers with the screwdriver or the attachment in the middle. I thought that was really neat, with a Garage 5, I believe, version, and maybe the Garage 2, 1 or 2. But anyway, I think those were really cool designs, but I like to see something brand new, something really earth-changing from Leatherman like they have done in the past. And also, I really would like to see a small version of the Free series. So I've just called this the Leatherman Ant, but just imagining how this could fit into the lineup. You've got the Surge size, the amp we'll call it, and then the small size, the Ant, and then you've got the ARC that sort of sits in the middle. And so I think there is definitely a place for a small, around 3.5, 3.75 inch frame. So it's a little bit smaller than the ARC, but it is also not too small that it can still do a lot of tasks. And I think a lot of people would be a huge fan of something like that. So let me know what your thoughts are about this, what you think Leatherman should do moving forward, and perhaps we'll see something revolutionary. Now, one of the things I would love to see, and I didn't draw it down on paper, I think it's hard to catch the essence, but I would love to see something that sort of uses some of Leonardo da Vinci's principles with the screw and, just general principles, where you would actually turn almost like a driver, sort of like some of those universal sockets we've seen, but something that as you turn it, and there probably is a tool like this already, but as you turn it, it would use like gears to get tighter and tighter, and it would sort of be like an adjustable wrench, but almost like vertical instead of horizontal, or anyway, the opposite way. And so that you would get teeth that would almost come together on a bolt. And if you could even get something like that to fit a multi-tool. Now, I'm sure that will never happen because Leatherman doesn't want to warranty things that are breaking when people try to take tires apart with something that should be used for a 1/4 inch bolt. But I think it would be great to see something totally different, something totally new, and something that really sets Leatherman apart. So I think the garage has been a good, Leatherman has definitely seen that people are willing to pay for higher expensive things, but I would like to see something beyond the ARC where Leatherman will innovate and keep on innovating for not just a couple people, but for everyone. And I would love to see that. So let's go ahead and talk about the ARC and Leatherman and why Leatherman should raise their prices. Well, one of the things that I hear again and again is that Leatherman's quality is lacking. I hear that Leatherman's tools aren't like they used to be. I hear that about how Leatherman is always out of stock, all these options. And to some extent, I think some of these may be fixed by Leatherman raising their prices. So whether you like it or not, when Leatherman raises their prices to some extent, that will help them keep some of their units in stock. And I know this isn't popular. It's the same thing like when you raise real estate taxes. No one wants their taxes raised, but you do have nicer neighborhoods sometimes. So that's just sort of a fact. And that's one of the side effects. And that's why people sometimes encourage for taxes to be raised. And if you raise taxes on Leatherman's tools, to some extent, you will have more in stock, but I think you will also have nicer tools. So if you are happy with the Wingman in the Rev, those more budget style tools, then keep buying them and don't buy the ARC, and then Leatherman may go back to some of those budget style tools. But if you do want a lot more from Leatherman, I think we do need to support them in buying the ARC. And so let's go ahead and give some reasons why. So this right here is a scalpel holder from Kershaw, and this at the time of release was $50 for one scalpel holder. So this whole unit is $230. It was $250 shipped to me. But so this right here alone, one tool, one knife, one scalpel holder was $50. And that's pretty amazing that you get all these tools on the Leatherman ARC. I mean, look at all you get. Not only the pliers, but you get the bit driver, you get knives, you get files, you get saws, you get scissors, all for $230. So when you start itemizing each component, if you were to buy a saw by itself, some people would pay $50 for a nice pocket saw. Some people would pay $50 for a nice knife right here. Some people would pay $50 perhaps for a nice screwdriver. So isn't it Big Idea Designs or whatever has their bit driver for like $100, their pocket screwdriver? So when you start thinking about, if you take these components out of the Leatherman ARC, how expensive they are individually, then it makes a little bit more sense that Leatherman is raising their prices. Now, I'm the last one to want Leatherman to raise their prices. I don't really want them to at all. But when I start thinking about how much things cost, so for instance, I've realized in the watch world, this is a Timex Expedition. So right here is $50, and this is considered like the bottom of the barrel in the watch world. This is considered what is a Walmart watch. And watches go into thousands of dollars. Really, multi-tools are some of your most budget EDC items you will get. So you will easily spend 10 times on a watch what you will on the Leatherman ARC, easily, and on a knife as well. So I think that does help put it into perspective. I don't like the price increases, but I also want to keep Leatherman in the US, made in the US, and I like how they have that on the plier handle, made in the USA. That's pretty cool. And I do want to keep that made in the US, and I do want Leatherman to keep improving and to keep adding on and making the multi-tool something new and exciting. So for that, to some extent, I suppose I am willing to pay a little bit more and support them in that instance. Well, let me know what you think, if this is crazy, if this is totally off base, and I'll enjoy reading your comments.